Kip Hawley says for most air travelers, flying is an unending nightmare. He blames the TS security measures, including those put into place when he was head of that agency.
And now he's written a highly critical book, Permanent Emergency. Kip Hawley is here along with John Miller, who was a top FBI official, and now he's a member of our team, while Hawley was TSA administrator. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
You know, Mr. Hawley, I have to say, even the title of your book, Permanent Emergency, was a little unsettling to me. But one of the things that struck out to me, you said we need to forget about no more banned items, you say, and just allow liquids. And that seems to go against everything that we've been taught over these last 9-10 years.
Well, we ran so fast after 9/11 to put in measures to stop future attacks that we just kept moving but never pulled out the old measures. And what I'm saying is that a lot of the old measures that worked well in 2001, 2002 have been well protected, and we no longer need to prohibit those things.
What other measures no longer are needed?
Knives, blunt instruments, things that could cut people. And
why don't we need to prevent knives?
Because you can't take over a plane with a knife.
Because the door's now locked? Or?
The door's locked. You've got 300 passengers on board. There are air marshals. And you just cannot take over a plane with the knives. And it's a risk management issue. You'd say, yes, somebody could bring a knife and stab the guy next to him. That's a risk. And when I tried to get small scissors taken off the prohibited items list, there was a scream of there'll be blood running in the aisles. But what I wanted, and I think what risk management would dictate, is you got to find the bombs, because a bomb will take down a plane. And if you're so busy fishing around looking for Swiss Army knives that it diverts your focus. So my theory is let's clean out, let's not have the officers look for the knives and small things, focus on bombs, toxins, things that could destroy the plane.
One of the things that you point out is that we've got to kind of stop treating people like cattle, which is putting them through this mill, and use a smarter system where you gauge on behavior and other signals and say, I'm going to look at this person more than that person. This is the old 75-year-old grandmother in the wheelchair versus the nervous guy with the backpack. But that kind of gets towards that highly charged word, profiling. So how do you do one without falling into the trap of the other?
You do behavior-based, and which is different from appearance-based. You don't look for young Middle Eastern males and say, aha, we're going to go look after them. You have to understand that Al-Qaeda tried to bring a bomb in a baby diaper on board a plane. You can't look at what you think a terrorist looks like. You have to go on, is there something in the physical behavior that's independent of age, gender, ethnicity, that will give you a clue, and then you can follow up on it.
There has to be a better way, though. We all say we need to do whatever it takes to keep us safe, until they throw away your brand new bottle of contact lens solution when you go, no, can't you see the seal's not even broken? I'm thinking when you do things like that, it seems foolish and doesn't make any sense. On the other hand, they say liquids can be a deterrent. So what do we need to do? What do you guys need to, your former colleagues need to do?
Right. Well, what I think the public needs to understand is that there is a whole stream of threats and intelligence that's directing these security measures. And what I'm saying is it's risk management, where you say, now that we can detect threat liquids, and we now can detect threat liquids, but because it produces false positives, the lines would be long. And so what I would say is just open that up to the public and say, hey, have a couple of lanes over here that if you want to bring your big bottles, knock yourself out, but it's a little bit longer line than if you leave them behind.
John would know the answer to this, too. I've always read that the Israelis are the smartest about this. Is that true? And if it is, what is it they do? Because my impression is they have a different attitude about who might be.
Charlie, the Israeli secret is that the public is totally engaged with the security services. And that is the power of it. They do questioning, they do a lot of other specific security things, but it is the heart of the Israeli people and the security services who work together to stop terrorism in their land.
And that's what we have to do?
That's what we need to get here, and that's why I suggest...
Isn't the key piece of the Israeli security umbrella for flying really in the interview?
Part of it. It's part of the layers.
I mean, when that El Al employee is talking to you and they say, where are you coming from and where are you going? they're looking at every piece of your behavior, and they're very well trained. Isn't that close to what you're talking about for here?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We have the capability to do that behavior thing, and I think if you free up officers, these are smart people, remember, and they're well trained. But if you just tell the workforce, get into people's bag and fish for stuff, they're not using their brains.
You call that the Easter egg hunt.
The Easter egg hunt.
I found the lighter.
Yes,
yeah. And hey, but if you let people back and observe and have conversations, and that will give you a much more stable
Which begs
security.
the question, is there resistance to being smarter?
Yes, because
That's the nature of government, Charlie.
yeah,
And I want to see if Kip will admit it.
and the answer is yes, because if you allow people to be smart, that means you allow them to make mistakes. And then if you allow people to make mistakes, you're going to end up on this show or others explaining how is it possible that somebody in your organization could have done that.
There's a zero tolerance for mistakes
Right,
in government.
right.
So
Do
if
you
you
think
treat everybody like cattle, even if something gets through, you can say, well, we went by the book.
No, I felt very
Exactly,
cattle-like the other day. I mean, I always do now when I go through security. And do you think we still need the TSA?
Absolutely, we need something, you know.
Congressman John Mika of Florida, I mean, picking
Yes.
up on your point,
That's what I'm- yeah.
has called publicly for the abolishment of TSA, saying it's a bloated bureaucracy, it's thousands standing around.
So
and
what
that
would
they
he
could
do,
be
leave it to
replaced
the
by-
airlines?
He would
it
privatize
private?
it,
Yeah.
replace it by people. Now, I have to kind of caveat that Mika, over 15 years, has received $81,000 in contributions from companies who would be the privatizers.
Right.
But what do you think of that?
Private security today, I think, can work, but the way we do it is that we take the TSA method and then put a surcharge on it. So if we really allowed private sector security companies to do things like they do in Israel, that would be real security. But I think just asking somebody else to do exactly the same thing as TSA with a price markup isn't really
But
getting...
in that model, what would TSA be?
TSA could be a regulator. In his proposal, it would be TSA as a regulator. I think being a regulator in this business is a bad thing because it's not like a mechanical defect that when you find a mechanical defect, you fix it, you issue a rule, and it's done. Terrorists, you write down what you think you want to stop, and they say, oh, that's what you're going to defend, and then they just go right around it. So a regulatory approach for security, I think, is dangerous.
Well, the name of the book is Permanent Emergency. I wonder if your former colleagues are inviting you to dinner anytime soon now that you're saying, not doing a good job.
No, I think they're actually.
okay with it?
I think they're saying go because they
okay.
want to do more real security things than just be having 20-second interactions with the public that's not
safe.
very satisfactory. They want to do security.
All right. Kip Hawley, thank you. Permanent Emergency is the name of the book. John Miller, always good to see you.
Thanks.
Always good.